Well, that doesn't seem like it's been refurbished either, does it? So then I started to think, what has he paid for? He's paid reasonable money, cheap for a rebuild, but paid reasonable money for a refurbishment. So then, if I go upright here, I put my block of wood underneath the bell housing to support it. Right, that should hold that. Now, it's difficult for me to get a decent camera angle on this. I have to hold you. We'll need to have a tin or something underneath the back. That'll do. If I go like that and like that'll do. Right, great. There we go. So here's my box. Do we get into gears? Yes, we go into first. Doesn't sound very nice. Oh, did you hear that? It felt like it clonked. So, how can I do this? Can I do it like that? I don't know if you can see. First gear, second gear. Right, I've got to drive through the gearbox. I'll just rotate it at the moment. Can you hear it? Bearings are sounding hellishly noisy. Right, we're back in neutral again. Oh no, the output shaft's still turning. Right, and then if I hold the output shaft, eventually it breaks free. Third gear. Rattling. Fourth gear. Rattling. Back into neutral. Right, it did actually go back into neutral that time. It seems to be the first second gear selector is stopping it going out of neutral. So I'm in neutral here, and the gearbox, when I turn the input shaft, it's still driving the output shaft. So first second gear selector is not going back into neutral again. Reverse now is better at, it's actually got a gate on reverse. So again, if I bear out, we're in reverse. And then when I rotate, oh no, right, so it locked up again, and now it works. So I can then go back into neutral. First gear, neutral. It worked that time. Second gear, neutral. Still turning. Third gear, and fourth gear. Good. So, and we're still, oh no, it briefly was stuck in gear and then it wasn't. So then I started looking, so said to customer, permission to take top cover off, bearing in mind you've just paid money to have this refurbished. He agreed. Let's take the top cover off, let's see what's going on inside. So give me 1 second. As you can see, I've already had the bolts out. There's no surprises in here for me. Right, now, top cover and selector comes off with the forks underneath. I'll come back to the top cover and the forks in a second. Well, now what we will do is we'll show that the gasket wasn't fitted properly. So that's as I took it off. You can see the gasket is not seated all the way around. Lots of gloop on it, but it's not seated around there. Thanks, guys. It's a nice refurb, that. Right, now comes the interesting part. Look at the amount of slop in these bearings on the main shaft. That's a selector. A little bit of end flow, but it's the axial kind of, I'm able to do that with the bearing, and also I'm able to lift it up away from the lathe shaft. And I don't know where I got to with that video. I had the tail shaft off, strip thread. All the other bolts apart from one were loose. I think we know where we're going with this thing. This thing, as far as I can tell, that is just scrap. That has been running without oil for far too long. It's not even worth me taking it apart. I'm not going to salvage anything out of it. Bag of spanners. Anyway, so we're sourcing another gearbox. working with my contacts to see if we can find another gearbox which I can get in at short notice, I will go over it and replace the seals and the gaskets and check. I'm not going to refurbish it, I'm just going to check that it doesn't do that. And then it selects the gears properly, and then I'll run it up on the dugger gun on the output shaft, and we'll see where we are with it. It's got to be better than this thing though. So great were the issues with the saloon 4-speed box that I've given up with it. It's scrap. Picked up it's a used, tested A-type overdrive 4-speed stag box. You normally tell the numbers are on the back here. If it's got LD, it's stag. If it's MD, it's not stag. So I have just given this a damn good cleaning off, drained all the oil out, which was mostly oil actually, and quite good order. There's nothing particularly nasty in there. So the drain plug as well was bereft of Afro style rust bits. I've managed to get this plug out, so that's loose. So really I'm going to rebuild it with new gaskets and so forth, and we'll take it from there. I've just ordered a set of gaskets from Robsport, but other than that I think this is going to go together. It'll do the job. My problem is this is supposed to be out of the workshop tomorrow, and it ain't going to happen. So I've worked with the customer. We're going to do it for a week on Saturday, but that does mean that I need to delay the next project coming in, which is just the way it goes, I'm afraid. You cannot cater for these sort of issues. When someone says they're going to rebuild a box and it's like that, when I started to take it apart, partly because I wanted to see what the fuck was going on with it, but mainly because I wanted the input shaft off it, because they're very good for lining up stag clutches. That was the key objective there. Right, onwards. I got the cross shaft out, and that was a struggle. And the reason it was a struggle, let me stand you here, was that the pin sheared off. Now, it didn't shear off on the thread like they have done in the past. It sheared off on the pin, which is unusual. So the only way you can get it out then is to cut through on the fork end to get the fork out. Seems a shame, doesn't it? But never mind. And then we're left with the other end. Now, what's weird is I can rotate it that much, but I can't push it much more than that. It's almost like it's been welded in. I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't. It's scrap now. The fork I might be able to recover. It's got big flat spots on the fork anyway. Huge flat spots. So yeah, to be honest, it's just not worth fucking around with. Now the other things, I got all the oil out. That all drained quite nicely, and there's nothing particularly nasty on the drain plug. The bushes are looking okay. So really, it's just a case of going around to raise you up. If we then get, so I really want to get this selector on, see what's going on inside the box. 13. You hang around there while I fuck around with my toolbox, folks. Right, this shouldn't be done up very tight. I'm just wary though of extracting the thread along with the bolt. So any that do, I will just helicoil again. I don't particularly want to strip the box down. This is not a refurbishment, more so a quick gander, check it's gonna be standing a fighting chance of working, and if it does, then we'll reassemble with new gaskets and seals. Arf, arf. I love it on the car. And then the customer ends up with, hopefully, quite a nice A-type overdrive gearbox. the serial number of these. I'm going to pass the details on. This is an LD suffix gearbox, which means it is from a Stag originally, which is always nice, isn't it? Nice to be working on a gearbox that I can actually lift onto the bench myself. Right, that's these two. These four. I can test all of the reverse light switch. I've got the inhibit switch for the overdrive on the back here. I can test all of those. I'm going to make up a little loom that connects onto those, good quality connectors that connects onto those, that I can then join into the main body loom through the debug connector. What I am going to do, there's a couple of little fixes you can do with the Stag. First and foremost, the wiring for the, or from the switch to the overdrive doesn't need to go all the way up to the bulkhead and through 14 different connectors. Can actually just go down past where the gear stick goes, straight to the inhibit switch, which is kind of what I'm going to do. Right, last one. We'll see what's going on in here. Now, I was quite impressed, buoyed I should say, that there was sufficient oil in the gearbox when I drained it, which means that the seals are probably already in good order. Right, there we go. Top cover. And the gasket looks alright. It's all looking fairly clean in there. I'll give it a quick hose out. The shoes on the selectors look in good order. Happy enough with those. I'll just really want to just go over and just double check. Just scoop that crap in. Oh, it makes a big difference, you know. When these gears don't rotate on the shaft, don't rotate that way on the shaft, it's going to give them a fighting chance. Now, I'm not taking the main shaft out of that yet. I probably will, just to see how bad they actually are. But it all appears to be, let's turn the input shaft, pretty good order. It's got a nice feel to it, this gearbox. Nice and quiet. You can see all the oil circulating around, so let's just try and select gear now. Right. Oops, gone a bit too far with that. Back. This is so much nicer to work with, this gearbox. The other one was just fucked. Well, we know the other one was fucked. Now, is that going to allow me to, or are we, no, we're not in reverse. We should be able to select. I'm a bit wary of my bloody fingers in here, I'll be honest. That's nice. And beautiful. Oh yes. Back into neutral and then reverse. Yeah, very nice. There's a reasonable amount of oil in the bottom there. It's probably drained out of the overdrive. I'll drain, yeah, because the overdrive will have drained back into the box overnight. I'll drain the remainder of the oil out, but as far as I can see, there is nothing wrong in there. All of the teeth are showing good signs. Let's take it out of reverse. synchros have the right sort of feel to them. Yeah, it's just got a nice feel to it. Nothing wrong with it. Right, so I think the main gearbox part I'm happy with. I'll drop the cover back on briefly, although I need to take it apart again later on to put a new gasket in there. It just saves any shit going in there. And then we'll see if we can't get the overdrive selector. Is there anything I need to do in here? Just all these selectors, they all look okay. There's nothing really wrong with them. Let's just drop that back in. So the two of those, and then that wants to go there. So you've got reverse, two main selector rods and reverse are in place. Drop the bolts back through. On the continuity setting, connect it across the switch and into reverse. Probably needs a bit of a clean, but it would light a reverse light. I might just give that a quick clean. It's cleaning itself, look at that. Let's take the switch off the gearbox and see if we can't lube it up with some contact cleaner or something. Looks like it's going to be a bit of an arse to get off, I'll be honest. I haven't got a spanner that thin, or have I? Have I? I've got this spanner, which is a... Oh, do you know, it might just flipping work as well. This is a viscous fan spanner from a Range Rover. Take that out. There's two shims underneath it, don't lose the shims. They can go back on. And then, wondering if I just squirt a bit of contact cleaner in there. Electrical contact cleaner. Oh. La la la. Wind that back in. You can see why you want to make a loom and attach it to these switches before it went into the gearbox, because you really don't stand much of a chance of getting contacts onto these switches once they're located, I'm afraid. Not a chance. But this, oh, just about does it up. There we are. Multimeter again, which I'm grabbing hold of with my dirty hands. In there, and in there. That's better. It's a lot better. It's less likely to produce a high resistance circuit than it did do before. So I'm happy enough with that. Right, next thing I really want to check, let's pop those back in there again. That's going to have to get cleaned. It's the overdrive solenoid itself. Now, there is, on these A-types, there's an access plate on the side, which is how you adjust it. And it is a faff, I'll be honest. It certainly is when it's all on the car. I can tell you that now for nothing. It's also a faff. Changing the solenoid should it fail in operation. Now, what we've effectively got here, there's your solenoid. This here is the overdrive unit, Speedo housing on the end there. So there's the overdrive solenoid, connects up to a nice positive feed, earths back through the engine and gearbox. And then behind here there'll be a plate. Now, one thing that's slightly concerning me is there's damage there, but I think that's possibly just where some ham-fisted gibbon has been involved. So I'll take this cover off and we'll see what's going on underneath. Right, we're pissing down with rain a little bit. April, it's actually May now. I have on this created the wire that goes from the solenoid up via a P-clip to the inhibit switch and then up pretty much through where the gear stick hole goes in order to go up there. That'll work. I'll test that in a moment. And I'll run wires for the reverse light switch down to here, which I can then terminate. Once that's all in place, I haven't done anything at all with the solenoid. That's next on the list. I know that the overdrive is working, and I'll go through that in a moment with how the solenoid switch works, the inhibit switch. And I thought, let's do the front end here. So, taken the nose off, I want to just make sure there's nothing particularly nasty going on that. The seal's torn, on the inside, so I'm going to replace that, and then I'm going to put that all back together. When it goes back together, just make sure the oil way lines up with the half moon on there. Okay. And is that the right way around? Yes, it is the right way around. I've already done the lay shaft gasket down there. I'm going to do this gasket next and the seal. And thread locking the bolts in. Anyone knows where my thread lock goes? I've now lost 3 of these. I'm down to my emergency last one. I don't know where they're going. Disappearing. Pixies are grabbing them, I reckon. So using just like a standard instant gasket just to bond the gasket paper, which is there. And I've got this seal, which needs to go in there. Got that chap and that chap. It's a nice deep seal. So that needs to come out of there. I don't quite know how that's going to come out of there. Probably knock it through from the inside. That's leaking, which is annoying. Dripping all over that. Off. The other thing I do with these, I'm going to get the old clutch plate off in a second, but make sure these slots are absolutely spotlessly clean. I'll finish this properly once everything is together. Then I'm going to start messing around with cross shaft, identify which of the 2 holes are pilot holes, because 2 of the bolts on the bell housing are slightly larger. We need to identify those 2, and then I can get the larger size bolts to go through. Line the rest of the bolts up so I know which ones are which. The ones along the top here are a particular bastard. I am thinking about possibly seeing if I can't get a piece of steel to go round there. So make myself a strip of steel that goes round like that, goes the other side here, and then I weld the bolts to it. I don't know. Might be a rod from your own bag. All the bolts are going in are brand new and they're clean, so I might not bother with that. We'll see. We will see. So yeah, that seal needs to come out, and then I can start putting it together. Might put some gloves on. A bit late, really. Never mind. Okay, probably the easiest way to get this old seal out, because I can see it in there, is to tap it out with that and a suitable tapper. Oh, there's a tapper. Get off it, you bastard. And it should drift out. Feels like it is. It is. It's coming out. Okay, right, so to complete this on top of, we don't have a device. I should just have to knock it straight through without damaging anything. Can you see? I don't know. Can you see? Well, it's just me chatting at the moment. Anyway, probably not a lot really to talk about. Then I can clean this up and pop this on. bit on the... It's actually coming out in bits. Doesn't matter. It's probably an original seal in here. It's out though. It'll do. Right, let's clean this up and then we can put this back in with a new seal and a new gasket, and it should give it a fighting chance, I reckon. I've already replaced the seal at the output shaft. Clothy not cloth, please. And then we're going to look at, I think we need to look at the solenoid, the cross shaft. Speedo drive is screwed. I've got to sort something out about that. That's all good. That's all good. A little bit of crap round here, but we really shouldn't have too many problems down here when it comes to the bearing carrier which sits on that shaft. Oops, there's my gasket. Let's pick the gasket up. Oh, it's a long way down there. Now, you can see some fret marks. So if I can hammer mark there, that's not very helpful, is it? Let's look at the other noses that we've got, otherwise I'm going to have to find some way of filing that out. See that there? Someone's been on that, and there. So I'm not quite sure why someone's done that, but they've done it. So I've got another nose. Good job I didn't put the bearing into the seal into that, wasn't it? There's another nose, because I think that one's going to need some work, having cleaned it up. What's this one like? Again, it's got some marks on it. It's not ideal, is it? There's the gasket that the rebuilder put on for us. Probably have already replaced the seal then, haven't they? So here's your bearing carrier. No, I didn't lube it up like that. Some other idiot has. I mean, look at it. This is nothing to do with the refurbisher. This is someone else. It does actually feel quite good on that. This all needs cleaning. These things do not want to go in lathered up with grease. That's just stupid. That's running tight on those two burrs. So we'll try and clean those burrs up. What's it like the rest of it? It's going to be a case of picking the best one of these two. Let's move these over here. Seal can go over there. The gasket I had, didn't I? Pick the fucking thing up. I put it somewhere. That can go over there. I can go in the recycle. These can go over here. There's the gasket. Right, that's all out of the way. Let me clean these two up and then work out really where we're going to go. But one of those two is going to go back on the gearbox with a new gasket. Oh, while we're at it, Speedo drive. So, you have a drive. This goes into the end of the gearbox, the output shaft, so I need to change that O-ring. And attached to it is a bolt which locates it. It's a little pin on the end of it. That goes in there, holds it into place, which is great. And then on top of all that, there is, I can get all this crap out of the way, a right angle drive. Now, the right angle drive should have a wire coming out of here, a square peg, which on the end would look a little bit like that. However, the square peg on this one looked like that. So this is fucked. I don't think there's an awful lot I can really do with it. So I need another one of those. And there wasn't one on the old manual gearbox. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And then I've got a new release bearing. Have a clear up on the bench. Uncharacteristically tidy, Richard. I'll have another coffee. We're tidying up. This doesn't normally work like this, folks. Normally I have far less room on the bench. Okay, now I think what we do is we just get a cleanie tray and we spray some cleaning solution. And I want to do this as well because I want to see if this is any good. I won't use the bearing, but I need to find out whether the carry is any good. That bearing has got some life left in it, but because it's in constant contact with the pressure plate, clutch pressure plate, it makes sense to replace them. If you ever have to find yourself taking the gearbox off, even if you're not replacing the clutch, replace the release bearing. It's just something I've always done.